Hello everybody and welcome back to Quest 64. Off screen I have done a bunch of grinding. I would say I'm actually a little bit over grinded. I got a little bit carried away, but that's okay, it'll just make things a little bit easier on me. And right now I'm heading to Glencoe Forest. Last video I had said that I was going to grind in Donder and Flats in order to prepare to go to Glencoe Forest, because the enemies in there are a little bit tougher, and the area, of course, is a closed area, so if I were to get into any trouble, I wouldn't be able to use wings or anything, so I wanted to make sure that I was plenty prepared. Glencoe Forest, you can do now or you can do the area later. I had mentioned in the last video, I do believe that the area is optional. It's not optional, however, it's optional at this time. You don't have to come here now. We will be backtracking and coming back here later, so it's completely up to you as a player what it is that you want to do. The reason I like to come to Glencoe Forest first is because the enemies are already kind of scaled to our level. So it's a great place to grind, and it's a great place to pick up some spirits and get the elements all leveled up, rather than coming back for it later, or at least that's my logic. I think that makes a lot more sense. So I'll be doing it now. We will be coming back to it later. It won't be the first time, or the last time that we will be seeing the area. I'm not going to bother fighting any of these enemies because I've already shown them all off, and it's just going to take up a bunch of my time. So if I look on my map, after enemies stop spawning ruthlessly, thank you. If I look on my map, I'm right here. It's actually pretty close to where Connor Forest was. And there's a little drop off here. Now I do believe I came here a little bit earlier when I was looking for spirits, and I said, oh, this is a dead end. But it's actually not a dead end. I just hadn't looked closely enough. It's really easy to not be able to find the entrance to Glencoe Forest because the only way to get down here is by traveling down this little broken tree, or fallen tree, I guess. And unless you have your camera panning and following you, it can be really easy to miss. However, the sign is a pretty good indication that the forest is ahead, so keep an eye out for that. This is the final spirit that we were missing in the flats. I had mentioned that I had missed this. I was looking for it and couldn't find it. And now that this is here, this is the last one we have in the flats. That is the very last one. And we will be collecting more when we get into Glencoe Forest. If I can ever get there, that would be fantastic. I must have monster food in my pocket or something, because they will not leave me alone. And we'll be seeing all new enemies, so we'll be ambushed by a whole new group. Oh joy. Although my magic is getting pretty strong, so I'm getting pretty good at being able to really hold my own against a lot of these monsters, which is good. I'm starting to actually now feel powerful, not just like a pitiful kid with a staff, so that's good. And again, we get the kind of dark and ominous music. And once you're in Glencoe Forest, you'll see that it's a very, very wide open area. There are no roads to follow, so you kind of just have to feel your way around and try not to get lost. So first thing we're going to do is go to the right. This is a dead end, but there is a spirit to collect. And all of the spirits, with the exception of one, are behind trees. Now these enemies are pretty nasty, and I would recommend just running away from them when you see them. These are the dark goblins. They have the ability to buff themselves, and they always appear in large groups, which is a pain, and they're really powerful, and they really hurt a lot. So when I see a huge group of these guys, I just run away because I don't have time to mess around with that. They're not so bad when there's only, you know, a couple of them. The first spirit is here behind this tree. We're also seeing another new enemy. This is a mummy type enemy. The Ghost Stalker. They use rock. so maybe throwing a rock at it wasn't the best idea. I'll use Wind Cutter. Now that Wind Cutter is pretty powerful, that's usually what I have been using. I've either been using Wind Cutter level 3 or Large Cutter, and that's been doing really well for me, even against the enemies that are Wind Element. So I'm really quite happy with that. I'm just trying to reserve my MP the best that I can, so sometimes I need to run away from a battle just so that I have enough MP to heal and whatnot. My staff just is not hitting things. Every time I go to record a video, it seems like my staff just gets stage fright and can't perform or something. I don't know what it is, because usually when I'm out here grinding, I have no difficulty. Oh well, it's fine. I'm fine. I can do it. Alright, spirits. Let's see. I'm going to continue to put more points into water so I can heal. That's all there is on this side, by the way. And if you look across the lake, you can actually see the next spirit. That's one of the advantages of coming into the forest at night, or into places at night, is you can better see the spirits. You can see them during the daytime, but it's a lot more visible during night hours. These enemies, as you can see, are taking me a little bit longer to defeat, as opposed to the ones that were on the flats, obviously, because they have scaled up in level. And I also forgot to show off one of the abilities, if I can find it. Soul Searcher level 1. If you want to use it, you can identify the monster, their name, and some of their stats. And it's really cool because it comes up every single time you attack, so you have the chance to actually read it all, since you don't really get much of a chance when it only shows up once. I don't find that terribly useful, just because I generally know what I'm getting myself into before I get here, but if you're struggling or you want to see how much HP an enemy has left or something, then Soul Searcher is a pretty neat thing to have. And you'll need water to use that, I do believe, so again, one of the many good uses with water. It's just such a good spell to have. I'm surprised that Dark Goblin went down so quickly. Maybe I am getting more powerful, because I definitely remember them being a lot more resilient when I first got here. But like I said, I think I overdid it. I'm a little bit overgrinded. I spent a lot of time in the forest, and I did do a little bit of a practice run, so I made sure that I'd be able to get all the spirits. They're still kind of whooping my butt, though. I've only got 60 HP, so we still have a few more enemies to see. We haven't seen them all yet. I'm gonna heal up here. I can now heal up to 8 HP at a time, which is great. That really helps. In the beginning, our first level spell, or healing level 1 when we first got it, I should say, only allowed us to heal 4 HP. So we've already come a long way. Second spirit is over there by that tree, but I think I'm gonna get this one first. This one is by the water's edge, going towards the left-hand side. This enemy here I found to be really tough. This enemy is the Hot Lips, or Hot Lip. Yeah, Hot Lips. And these are fire creatures. I think they're the first fire creature, actually, that we've seen. Because generally the enemies in the beginning of the game are wind and earth based, and later on in the game a lot of the enemies are water and fire based, mostly fire. So it's really interesting that we're starting to see fire based enemies. If you don't have water abilities or wind abilities and you've been working a lot on fire, I would recommend skipping them or using your staff or buffing your staff or doing something, because they can do lots of damage and it's good to get rid of them as soon as you can. I don't really have any troubles with them because I have a large array of magic at my fingertips, but I imagine that if you tried to use fire on it, it wouldn't work out very well. And then this spirit, our third one, is just a little ways up from that last one by the water's edge. It's just on the very edge of the forest here. Let's put it into rock, since rock is lagging behind a little bit. And that's all the spirits for this side. Here's another new enemy. We've got a big tree type. This is another wind enemy as well. But not overly tough, or at least I don't find it's overly tough. And I find that with this enemy, it also appears in large groups with the ghost stalkers, generally. So you're going to be going up against earth and wind. But so far, I'm doing pretty well. I didn't actually die in this area, which was surprising. I did die in Donvern Flats, I think I mentioned that. But this area gave me a little bit of a hard time, but I didn't die, so that was nice anyways. Alright, so now that we've gone to the right, and we've kind of been to the middle part of the forest here, we're going to continue on to the left, or I guess we're going to be going south. It's probably a little easier for me to use compass directions, I apologize. That's the whole purpose of the compass, but yet I never really use it. I'll try to use compass directions more if I can remember it. I'll try to make a mental note of it. Or if you're playing along, you can of course just look at the compass or look at where I'm going and hopefully follow along. In a place like this, it's kind of hard to really give a lot of concrete direction because there's no roads or anything. But our next landmark to show you that you're going the right way is going to be this house. Of course, that you can see in the distance here. There's a spirit behind it, so don't forget to grab it. That is spirit number 4. And we can go inside of it as well if we'd like, just to take a look. There's actually a person living in here. She always looked like a witch to me. I don't know why that is. Follow the scenic valley into the forest and you will come upon a blue cave, but I can assure you that the road will not open without permission from the spirits. Well, that's some foreshadowing for something that will happen quite a ways away. The blue cave is a dungeon, probably the longest and most tedious dungeon in the entire game. But fortunately for me and for you, we will not be going there for a little while, so that's why I said this place is a place we need to revisit. Because we need to be going to Blue Cave, but unfortunately we are not able to get in there at this time. And even if we were able to, the monsters would completely wipe the floor with us, so I would rather not bother. However, I will show the entrance to Blue Cave, and I will be getting the final spirit of the area. And then after that, I can pretty much backtrack through the forest, go rest up at the inn, and then we can take the boat, finally, and get to a whole new continent. We've traveled so far, and yet we're only 7? I want to say 7 videos in. So that's pretty cool. Here's the spirit behind the tree here. So I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to put it into water. I got 15 water and 15 wind, so I think I've set myself up. I just double healed for no good reason. And I do believe that is the final spirit. Now, I'll be showing off Blue Cave. It's just around the corner here. And then that will be it. Alright. So Blue Cave is this area here. It's surrounded in water, and miraculously, Brian can just walk in this water like it's no big deal. And he doesn't drown or anything. He doesn't even close his eyes. He is not phased one bit. So this is the entrance, but as you can see, it's blocked off, and it's going to be blocked off for quite some time. That's that, and I actually miscounted. There is a 6th spirit there, so that's kind of cool. I don't know how in the world I miscounted. Either way, that is 100% for sure all of them. That's actually a very pleasant surprise that I got an additional spirit out of it. Because now I've got all of them nearly leveled up to 15, which I think puts me ahead of the game for the next area, which is awesome. So I don't think I will backtrack through the forest. I think I'll just make it back to the house and call it quits there. Because obviously I think that would be very boring. You know, once you've seen an area once, it's usually not showing off again unless I absolutely have to, because I do realize a lot of this stuff is going to get very repetitive, especially as the playthrough goes on. So I'll try to make it as painless as I can for all of you. Another thing I forgot to mention is that, like in Donderan Forest, I can't think right now, Connor Forest, not Donderan Forest. Like in Connor Forest, Glencoe Forest has the house, and you can use the same strategy that I had recommended in that forest. And if you're having trouble with your MP, go in the house, walk around in circles until your MP recharges, and then restore your HP with healing spells. That way, you make sure that you don't pass out or die in the forest, and it's a great place to stop, heal, go back out and grind, and rinse and repeat, and that should allow you to have an easier time as you go on through the forest. So that's one strategy that one can use if you're having difficulties. And that is about it. I think that's all I really have to say. We've pretty much covered Glencoe Forest until a later date. So I'm going to go back to the inn, and next video we will be taking the ferry to a whole new world. So thank you for watching, and I hope that I will see you next time.